The sky was fire, the void torn open by the fury of ruptured warships. Thousands of wrecks, XLR battlecruisers, Dominion dreadnoughts, and the broken hulks of human resistance vessels floated like corpses in the black tide of war. Plasma bursts and railgun slugs slashed through the debris, the remnants of the last stand burning against the abyss. Kane Valrek stood at the shattered bridge of the Iron Fang, his battle armor scorched, his left gauntlet fused from an energy blast that should have torn his arm off. Blood streaked down his visor, his breathing a ragged snarl. He was still alive. That meant the fight wasn't over. The Dominion's last fleet had assembled before him 20 capital ships, their spiked hulls glistening under the dying glow of a collapsing neutron star. Their flagship, Vorax Wrath, loomed at the center, its ion cannons aligning with the remains of the human warship Kane now commanded. A crackling voice filled the comms. High Lord Exultar, the Dominion warlord who had hunted Kane across the stars, his tone dripping with triumph. Your rebellion ends here, human. You are the last ember. Let me extinguish you. Kane wiped the blood from his faceplate and smirked. His free hand tightened on the control panel, where the final sequence was already running. No, he said, voice like steel. I'm just the spark. From the wreckage behind him, a hidden fleet emerged, hacked Dominion war machines, stolen XLR bombers, scavenged battlecruisers, all slave to a single command. His command. They ignited in unison, their weapons primed in a final apocalyptic charge. Alarms blared. Silther's fleet scrambled to realign. Too late. The death blow was already in motion. Then, the darkened sky split. Something else was coming. A shadow far greater than the Dominion. The battle wasn't over. It had only just begun. The Dominion fleet fractured as Kane's stolen war machines ripped into their formation. Railguns spat fire, plasma torpedoes carved through their ranks, and the void filled with the silent screams of vented crews. But Kane wasn't watching the slaughter, his eyes were locked on the abyss beyond. On it. The anomaly had swallowed the light. A wound in space, spiraling, writhing, something moving within. Not a fleet. Not a weapon. Something worse. Kane felt it before his scanners registered the gravitational distortions. His breathing hitched, lungs pressing tight against his ribcage. It was the same presence he'd felt in the wreckage of Keltar 9, the same impossible force that had turned an entire planet's surface into molten ruin. It was here. Watching. Siltha's voice broke through the comms again, but this time the arrogance was gone. Only disbelief remained. No. No, this is a lie. The Harbinger Sleeps' transmission cut to static as Vorax Wrath convulsed, its hull twisting unnaturally, the metal warping as if something inside was chewing through it. Kane barely heard Karis over the screaming alarms. What the hell is that? Kane! Do you see this? I see it, Kane muttered. He wished he didn't. The anomaly rippled, and tendrils of black fire lashed outward, slamming into the Dominion ships. They didn't explode. They unraveled. Hulls peeled away into shimmering dust, bodies stretching into grotesque silhouettes before collapsing into nothing. Kane's stolen fleet fired in blind panic, but the shots never reached their target. The anomaly absorbed them, devoured them, growing darker with each failed strike. Kane's fists clenched against the controls. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. He had spent years clawing his way through hell, building this moment, this chance to end the Dominion, to make the bastards bleed for every colony they burned. And now this? Some new cosmic horror tearing the battlefield apart like it was just an afterthought? A voice slithered through the comms, deep, guttural, wrong. Not Dominion. Not human. You are nothing. Kane's heart pounded against his ribs. He forced his voice to stay level. Then why are you here? The anomaly pulsed. A shape was forming within. Massive. Unknowable. Emerging. Karis was already screaming. Kane, we have to go. Now. But Kane wasn't sure they could. Kane's fingers hovered over the thruster controls, hesitation cutting through the adrenaline. Every instinct screamed to move, to run, but something held him in place. The shape in the void was still forming, the anomaly bending space around it like a black sun. You are nothing. The voice echoed in his skull, deeper than sound, heavier than gravity. Karis was already moving, her voice snapping like gunfire. Kane, I swear to whatever gods you pretend don't exist, if you don't get this ship moving, I'll… The comms cut. A single burst of static. Then a voice cold, precise. Not Dominion. Not alien. Human. This is Admiral Rylus of the Ascendancy. Kane Valrek, you are ordered to stand down and surrender your fleet. Kane's blood turned to ice. The Ascendancy. The bastards who had sold out the colonies, the ones who let Earth burn so they could rule from the ashes. They were supposed to be dead. He had watched their last fleet die at the hands of the Dominion years ago. But that voice, clear and sharp, left no doubt. Karis stumbled back from the console, eyes wide. That's impossible. The anomaly pulsed again. The Dominion fleet was in full retreat, their dreadnoughts abandoning formation, running. Silthar had vanished from the comms. The Varek's wrath was gone, eaten. Kane's stolen ships were breaking rank too, confusion rippling through the fleet. Then a second signal cut through this one encrypted Old Dominion military code, but the identifier was human. Kane's own encryption. A message from his brother. Kane felt the ground tilt beneath him, his grip tightening on the console. His brother was dead. He had seen the body. The Dominion had torn him apart. The transmission was audio only. A single line, spoken in a voice that had no right to exist. They're lying to you, Kane. The anomaly surged, the shape within it moving. The Ascendancy fleet flickered into view, hundreds of ships uncloaking in perfect formation. The Dominion was already dead. The Ascendancy was here to clean up the rest. Kane's world shrank to the sound of his brother's voice, to the cold certainty in those 3 words, and to the impossible choice before him. Kane's breath came slow and steady, but his mind was a storm. The Ascendancy, his brother's voice, the anomaly devouring the battlefield. Everything was colliding at once, and there wasn't time to untangle it. The choice had to be now. He slammed the override on his fleet's comms, locking his voice into every ship under his command. Weapons, hot. Ascendancy ships are hostile. If they move on us, burn them. The reply was instant. Belay that order, Rylus commanded, his voice like a blade. We are not your enemy, Kane. You are being deceived. Karis turned, fury in her eyes. What the hell are you doing? We can't fight them, and that she pointed to the anomaly, now distorting space like a wound spreading outward at the same time. Kane didn't look away from the viewport. If they're not here to kill us, why did they only decloak now? No answer. The Ascendancy fleet hovered, unreadable, waiting. Then the anomaly lurched. The thing inside was waking up. The Dominion's last warships vanished into the dark, pulled apart like insects in tar. But something else was happening. The anomaly wasn't just consuming. It was learning. The wreckage it had devoured was reforming, pulling into new shapes, jagged, unfinished, but recognizable. Kane's stomach twisted. The twisted remains of Dominion battleships were emerging, but their hulls were wrong. Warped, blackened, with circuitry glowing like molten veins. And, at the center of it all, his brother's face. No, not just his face. His entire form, standing within the shifting mass of the anomaly, untouched. Watching him. The transmission crackled again, clearer this time. They're lying to you, Kane, the voice repeated. Then, you've been fighting the wrong war. The Ascendancy fleet opened fire. Not at Kane. Not at the anomaly. at something behind them. Before Kane could turn, the iron fangs shuddered. Sensors flared red. Something massive was moving in the dark, something neither Dominion, Ascendancy, nor the anomaly itself. And then the lights cut out. For the first time in his life, Kane felt fear crawl up his spine. They weren't alone out here. Not even close.